Now presenting Mr. Mike Coyne, Governor's Hurricane Conference Board member representing the National Weather Service.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our next award is the Tropical Meteorology Award. It's presented to an individual or organization that has made outstanding or substantial contributions to the advancement and knowledge, application, or understanding of the hurricane forecasting and warning process in the state of Florida. Since 2004, Mr. Mike Boylan has been educating people about trends, model runs, and everything else tropical weather related through his website. He does not forecast, but his dedication and contributions to the citizens of Florida and providing tropical weather information in layman's terms, helping to explain what the forecast trends mean and how to follow all the extensive maps, charts, and graphs located on his website, Mike's weather page, aka SpaghettiModels.com. The 2021 Tropical Meteorology Award goes to Mike Boylan of Mike's weather page.
Just click on Mike's page, jump on the nation. Well, there'll always be some haters, but they don't understand. Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend, Mike, he's your man. And he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here in Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide.
All right, good morning, everybody. What's going on today? Wednesday here in Oldsmar, Florida, home of Mike's weather page. Still can't get over this video. This is clips that I took from Barrel in Texas. Only a Cat 1. I look at it now and I don't even remember that. Like, you film it and then you go back and really analyze the film and you're like, wow, that was more intense than I thought. Especially that was Sergeant Beach, I believe. Beach was the end of it, but Sergeant, Texas. So how's it going? We are going to talk about the weather. We got something brewing down the Caribbean. Yes, we do. Always a weird point in this whole tropical tracking stage for me because, you know, I made a disclaimer last night. I have to do it every time. We have so many new people. You know, hundreds of thousands of new followers this couple months. So I have to, you know, let people know. Some people are like, oh, why do you always say that? Because we have new people that watch. And it was just a direct statement. Hey, I'm not a meteorologist. Please, you know, refer to the National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center. Just because a lot of times I think stuff I put out there is overwhelming, you know. And there's a lot of tone this year about not sharing runs. And I love doing that. I'm not going to, you know, I posted it months ago. I'm not going to change. It's what I love to do. It's always been my passion to look at long-range modeling and long-range trends. And, you know, but for some reason this year, man, every post I see from so many Mets is don't do this. And I'm like, you know, I get it. But that's what we like to do here. You know, I love it, and I'm going to keep doing it. A lot of y'all like to do it with me. So I don't know. I mean, so, you know, if it's confusing then then National Hurricane Center. But I love long range modeling and trends and history and all of us digesting this kind of stuff together. It's what we've always done, and I'm always going to do it. I love it. I love tracking tropics. I don't love hurricanes. I don't love what they do, but I do love tracking weather, and that's, take the good with the bad. But, so I get it, I guess. But, a lot of Mets only have so much time to post that they spend a lot of time telling people what not to look at. I mean, just do your thing. Let people gravitate to where they want to go, right? So, this is Hunter, by the way. He was the first dog. I let the dogs pick now who's going to come up on my lap, and today it was Hunter. I swear these dogs know it's 9:19, and they try so hard to be good. It's like they know it's time, and he's watched his brother Louie for years, and look at him. He's just trained. He knows he's supposed to sit here. He knows he's a good boy, right, Hunter? You a good boy, Hunter? You a good boy? So anyway, welcome everybody. So we're going to talk weather. This is Daily Brew. We have a lot of great supporters. One of them being ABC, Fine Wine and Spirits. Guess what happened yesterday? First can. I have the first can. Hurricane Spaghetti Model IPA. And there we go. Look at that. We have our own beer. 8% tropical IPA. It has a fruity taste. And it will be available at ABC, Fine Wine and Spirits. So, looking forward to that. We got 2 special meet and greets coming up October 9th at Winter Garden, October 10th at Cocoa Beach at ABC. So look for that, 5 to 7 p.m. We got one this Saturday at Tampa Bay Brewing Company here at home, 4 to 7 p.m. at West Chase. So come on by and have a sampling and get your first chance to purchase because it's sold out. Pre-sold out, meaning everybody that ordered some, it's sold out. So everybody has some. It's just all the stores that ordered it, they could have sold more. We sold a lot. So looking forward to seeing everybody this weekend. It's just kind of an casual meet and greet and hanging out. So there's our spot to watch. We're going to talk all about this here in a second. That's our yellow blob of 20%. That's all the hype that Mike's been pumping out there on the internet. Rightfully so. I believe we should watch this close just based on history. And we're going to look at all the latest models in a minute. All right. Winter Garden, Jane. Yeah. I am not drinking. Look, who said I'm drinking? Come on, look. Look. How am I drinking? It's not even opened. Look. I am drinking coffee, though. Look. There we go. So. We'll be live tonight, more than likely. But we'll talk about that later. I think that we're going to say hello for a few minutes, and then we'll get right into it. Larry from Starbucks, Disney Springs. That sounds like a good place to hang out. I'm a Dunkin' kind of guy, but because I have girls, I'm a Starbucks kind of guy sometimes, too. I swing by the ATM when I go to Starbucks. Hey, playing softball growing up with Emily, we would swing into Starbucks on the way to softball. And for me, getting a coffee and all their little shenanigans, it was like $40. Birthday cake pop. and Julie would write down everything. It would be like frappe, mente, appetini, babidibi, ba ba da da ba ba da ba vente. And then I screw it down and say it's small, and they'll look at me. You can't say small. Melissa from Oldsmar. Yay, Barbara, what's going on? You're at Starbucks too. Hey, man, morning with Mike at Starbucks. What's up, Chris Klein? Tallahassee, watching close, right? I know you're kidding, whoever said that. We know we're kidding. I'm glad you clarified that. All right, so here's I'm a Duncan's kind of guy if I had a choice, but Mike's up in the mountains of Tennessee. Play a little Morgan Wallen. We love Morgan Wallen. All right, so we're in the early stage. Yeah, he's snorting good, McShadow Cat. Port Orange ABC still has it. Alan, what's that? Hurricane Hunter? That's old beer. We got new beer coming. What's up, Sean? Well, Hunter's about ready to go down. He's been a good boy. They had their water this morning. They had their medicine. They're good. You good? This little guy, man. He's only 9 pounds, man. 9 pounds of love. Oh, I love you. All right. All right. So let's talk about this thing. All right. So what is the National Hurricane Center saying? 20% chance in the next 7 days. All right. So somewhere in that area, that's not a track. This is the area that they expect something to develop. Okay. 20%. I thought it'd be a little higher this morning, but I'm sure they have a formula that they use, and the euro is not showing much. So I'm sure it all gets put into percentages, and the euro has been terrible this year. So just like the year of Ian, the GFS was terrible. This year, the euro is terrible. So I think it's skewing this percentage a little bit. But anyway, 7 days from now, Wednesday, I posted a graphic a second ago. This thing could be smack dab in the middle of the Gulf on Wednesday next week. So it's inching up on us. I mean, there was a time modeling 7 days was almost not a guarantee, but pretty darn confident that we could see something. So I'm going to show you all the latest models. And not just the latest, but the one before that and the one before that. That's how we establish trends and consistency. So this is an area very favorable late summer, early fall. It's unfortunately very favorable. We've seen a lot of bad hurricanes come out of this region. So we watch it close. History is your friend when it comes to tropics. So there you go. All right. So what we got here is a Central American gyre. All right. This is a good graphic on, I think, the Weather Channel. So we got winds. I've shown this a ton the last few days. I don't want to bore everybody with the same old stuff. But basically, you get a lot of winds from the west here. Okay. And we get a lot of winds from the east here. We have a frontal line that's actually helping this thing. That's going to linger. We have an old frontal line here. What happens is this whole area, because of these winds, starts to spin. The natural geography of Central America and land creates thunderstorms. Low pressure develops. And we can have a system plop off anywhere. And that's historically what happens. So this particular system, the models are following that moisture, following that front line. We have a front line, we have this spin, and this general area right here looks favorable for development. That is the seed that kicks off tropical development. We talk about the seed all the time. Cape Verde systems are coming across the intertropical convergence zone, have seeds and spin. This is the way we get spin this time of year if we're not talking about an already existing system. So fascinating stuff, but it's also stressful because we don't have anything there yet. So we're relying heavily on models and history. That's kind of where we're at. So it's a little different than we saw with our other systems because we were waiting on them to develop. This one's a little different. We kind of know it. So this came out yesterday. Got a lot of people worked up, but I share it all the time. It's a global tropics hazards map. It's put out by NOAA, Climate Prediction Center. They up the percentages to dark red, which is the highest I've seen in a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen dark red chances. So it basically is just guaranteeing they believe something's going to develop here next week. That's all. There's another wave maybe coming across here, but I don't see anything worth talking about other than our Caribbean right now. So that's why, high chances. Boom. There you go. On that. The season so far to date, I put this up. I want to talk about this real quick. I didn't realize it, but we only averaged like 1.4, 1.5 hurricanes hitting the continental U.S. every year. 1.5, less than 2. So, you know, I know they predicted a lot of numbers, and we haven't seen a lot of numbers yet. But this doesn't have Francine on it yet. But we've had 3 landfalling hurricanes already this year. So that's actually rare. I mean, I know the season, everybody thinks the season's slow because we haven't had a lot of numbers. But in reality, we've had 3 hurricanes and maybe 4 now. So it's weird, right? Everybody's like, the season's slow, but kind of not. And I had this up. I was going to post it earlier. I was trying to find maps that showed historically the areas that formed here, and it is all I got. So, what is that? That's every storm that's formed in the last week of September. So good luck with that. I was going to show it, but the one thing that's clear on this map is only one hit Texas out of all these storms. So, you know, this cluster right here was kind of what I was trying to get at. And most of these pull up, most of these turn. So it kind of shows what I wanted to show in a way. Let's super duper zoom it. Oh man, it really zooms in. Look at that. That's clarity. All right, there you go. Does any of that make sense? I hope. Not really. Even storms that form the BOC here, some of them take off and go to the northeast. So this is really confusing. But anyway, it kind of paints history and why I'm stressing Eastern Gulf, even Florida, just based on history. That's all. You know, years ago, I didn't inject opinions and thoughts like I used to do before a couple years ago, and people got mad. Well, just say what you think. So now I say what I think, and people get mad. People get mad when I say what I think. They whatever, man. But this is why I keep saying Eastern Gulf, Florida needs to watch close because of history. That's all. And Florida's a big state. You know, I'm talking Panhandle and Peninsula here. Okay, Upper Gulf, 100% too. But people think I'm only talking Tampa or when I say Florida. No, I talk Panhandle too. Florida's a big state. Looking down the road here, this is cool. I always like these surface charts. I was looking at it this morning. This is for Saturday. The first one's Saturday. So we have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Hunter's is looking at me. You already had your love, buddy. I know you're joking. So Saturday we got a front line dangling. Everybody remember Forrest Gump? Dangle. Didn't his feet dangle? My feet dangle. Here's Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's our lingering front. High pressure builds in. I'm curious about something too, by the way. So see this big H rolling in? H. Little story here at home. When we had Irma and when we had Ian, I remember a weird, intense heat. Okay? And Idalia too. I always remember the high pressure over us during an approaching storm. And I'm very curious. I'm going to pay attention to this next week, early week, if we have that intense heat that I felt in the past. Just for my own old school way of, people say when the ants do this and the wasps do that, and I'm wondering if the old timers have that weird feeling of heat in the air if we do get something in the Eastern Gulf because of this high pressure to the north. Anyway, so next Tuesday, look at that old front just lingering around, right? So we got a lot of stuff happening down here. This old front can actually help get something going. It can help ventilate a system. And there's our low popping into the Yucatan here officially on Wednesday morning, okay? So that's kind of the thinking on the NOAA maps, at least what we're doing. Lingering front, low pressure. This is Wednesday of next week. So seeing consistency on that. Now, I posted this one. We're going to go all the models. So these are things I share through the morning hours. So I want to post them and tell you what I'm thinking. I have no problem with that bot. Oh, I'm talking to somebody on the thing here. Sorry. What's up, Ian Jamaica? You're not gonna get anything out of this one, buddy. How you doing down there, man? Yeah, John Allen, right? Just bunch of crayons. Hey, I started putting up Halloween stuff last night. Oh my God, I felt so good. I got it. And Sarah will not walk under those spiders, and I strategically hang the spiders now that she has to walk under the spiders, and she runs every day. We're like, they're not real, and she usually screams. All right, so this is the thought process. This is the thought process and why I posted these two models. Okay, this is the method to my madness. Okay, 99% of the weather posts out there are telling people not to share these models, so I share the models. Canadian and the GFS have done really good this year. The Canadian's done very good this year, so I tend to focus on models that I think are the good ones to follow. I mean, every season, there are models that outperform other models. So far this year, Canadian and GFS seem pretty good. So the point of this one is this. Wednesday morning, okay? Today is Wednesday morning. We could see something trying to develop next week, which means this would be a little far south on Tuesday morning, meaning the Keys. I talk about the Keys a lot because they're the first ones, you know. The Keys could start to feel it as early as Tuesday night. So that time frame is still kind of on the plate. So yeah, there you got 987, 982. Definitely showing hurricane. There is a front coming. So another point of this post is this. Systems are influenced by frontal boundaries, and we have a front coming into play next week, and you can see that here on the Canadian and the GFS. So developing systems are pulled towards frontal lines, and that's what makes them turn. Eventually they turn a little east, so that's kind of the fronts pull, tug and turn. I don't think I'm going to do a shirt, tug and turn. All right. I don't worry, I worry about intensity models at this point. Intensity models are all over the place. Models don't seem to do very good with intensity this far out. So we kind of have to realize that part of the Gulf is prone to intensify fast. So, I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but, hurricanes in that Yucatan area can and have and will again intensify more than what the models sometimes show early on. So we don't have an invest yet. It's a problem. So an invest is when they designate an area and we have a true center. Right now we don't even have we don't have anything there. So there's no spaghetti models. We don't get the H-Wharf, the H-House models. We don't get the H-Mon models. They don't run until we have an invest. So unfortunately, we probably won't get an invest until maybe Sunday. That's a long way away. So things will change. I mean, that's the thing. I guess what's frustrating for me is models used to be really good 7 days out. And we're just seeing more fluidness in models. But I believe I love models. I'm going to keep talking. So anyway, the point of this matter, these two posts these have been the consistently east models. And they both kind of show a turn eventually coming. So that's just more of a time frame to show you what the front looks like. Two models there. Euro not showing anything. Now this is another thing I posted. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit. These are ensembles. This is also for next Wednesday. Wednesday night. And if you're new, all these little L's here, the L's are where it would be next Wednesday. So this kind of gives you a timestamp of where the models think they're going to be. Now, the Euro isn't showing hardly anything on the overnight ensembles. It's showing more of a weaker system, kind of hanging out the Yucatan, a little longer to develop. But that's the Euro. The Euro AI is different. The Euro has not been really good this year. So, but I show it. because people like to see the euro, and maybe it'll be right. But the GFS, so again, we have had a couple popping off a little to the west, but it seems like the trend is definitely to the north and to the northeast. But this is kind of where it could be next Wednesday, and you can see developing, something down here. So again, this is more of a time frame, showing you kind of what it's going to look like next week. Long way away, so I guess. This was another model I posted this morning. Everybody always asks me about the UK and the Icon. Well, they only go out 168 hours. Well, now they're starting to pop in the picture here. The UK showing that low pressure off the Yucatan next Tuesday. This is actually Tuesday. So the UK right here in the top left is showing a little bit of low pressure starting to form as far as out it goes. But bottom line is it's starting to show low pressure. This is the area to watch. This is Tuesday. Your GFS in the same general spot. The Korean model is kind of bounced back and forth a little bit between west and east. And then the Germany icon, now that it's showing the low, but it's in the BOC. It's kind of what the euro is showing. So that, not to say it's not possible. It's just, icon to me this year has been a little off. It's late to the game. So I put it on there just to show that it's shown low pressure too. So we have high confidence we got low pressure brewing next week. That's bottom line of that post. And here's your European AI. It's on tropicaltidbits.com, and it did extremely well for Florence. Or kind of, I say it all the damn time, man. I am so over the F names that change all the time. Francine. You know how many times I've messed up and called it Florence? Francine replaced Florence. Florence was 6 years ago. Seems like yesterday, right? Francine is the new F name. But anyway, the Euro AI did phenomenal with Francine. Phenomenal. So this is why I posted the last 4 model runs of the Euro AI. Just to keep track of maybe it's a good model this year. Didn't start off so good, but it's like AI. I guess it learns. My good buddy Dennis Phillips told me how the Euro AI works, and it's fascinating. It learns from itself. It learns from its last infinite, however many years the Euro has been running, 20, 30 years or whatever. It uses all its own data. It populates all that and creates its own model based on that. So it's kind of a new version of the Euro that seems pretty good. So it's consistent, doesn't make knee-jerk reactions. If anything, it's trended a little bit to the west, meaning more Upper Gulf, Florida Panhandle, Big Bend. But, this is what we watch. So, anyway. For people called it Francis too. Timing, somebody asked Destin, well, if it came your way, if whatever came, it would be middle to end of the week. So, the F name's so hard, right? Do you remember? BOC is the Bay of Campeche. Yes, thanks, Shelley, for that. And it's either Campeche, Campeche. It's the lower Gulf. So the last 4 AO runs, good question there, Mr. Dan Thompson. This would be your most recent run here. This was, good question. This was initialized 18Z. This one was the most recent. This was the prior. This was 3 runs ago, and this was 4 runs ago. So you can see it's kind of bouncing around a little bit on the upper to eastern Gulf. Just one model run, not a forecast, but it does show. And the timing for this is all Friday, which makes sense. So it still appears to me it's a midweek issue into next weekend at the latest. All the models seem to be picking up on this frontal line. There's a frontal line, most recent, showing that frontal line being pretty strong. So there's that. So, what I've learned and what I think I agree a lot with what's being discussed with the professional Mets Weather Service. This is not a system that's even there yet, so it's very highly speculative on these models. But, looking at history, this is a little different setup than we were watching with Debbie coming across the Caribbean and Francine. Those systems, you never knew when they were going to develop a low pressure system. This is a little different setup because it's relying on the fact that it's the Central American gyre setup. So the models, hopefully are correct this time. Otherwise, we might as well just start all over again. But let's look at all the latest models together. We'll go to Tropical Tidbits and take a look at these. So let's start out with GFS. These I'm going to show you like the last 4 runs of every model. This kind of gives you an idea where we're at. So the latest GFS, basically, these are low pressure areas. We do have a front line coming in, which means that ultimately we're going to see a sheared system. Always seems like this is kind of why all the time the eastern side's the heavy side with rains and winds. The latest GFS is kind of sloppy, 988 going up into the North Florida there. Kind of rides the East Coast. Now it's going to be, as a system gets picked up by a frontal line like this, they usually race off pretty fast. So the impacts along the East Coast will be there, yes. Depending on water, land, depends a lot on storms incoming off the Atlantic. But it should move kind of quick. It doesn't look like it's going to stall. There's a front coming up. It's kind of all where it develops here before it does that tug to the north and turn. That's why the Euro and some others are showing a little weaker system, and then it pulls off to the north. But there's the latest GFS. Last night, 00Z, they're a little more consistent over the time, and it's kind of showing you a crossover through the state. 977, 976, kind of strong. Notice it develops it a little bit more, east, which allows it to go a little bit more east. We got to look at history. Every time we have a system that develops closer to that Yucatan, it's more of a northern Gulf issue. The more system develops in the gap or even around south of Cuba there, it's more of a Florida peninsula. So we have a lot of history there showing what's going on in this particular spot. And this would be Monday. So if I had to say, all eyes Sunday, Monday on where we're looking at right now, because I remember the early stages of Michael, it didn't look like much, but you could start to see a lot of moisture and a lot of things happening, First forecast for Michael in this spot was only showing a tropical storm, 3 days out. We know what happened with Michael. So that's why I cautioned the intensity models in an area right here because of history. That's all, Ian, Ida, Idalia, all those storms really got going in this part of the area. So, and the water's hot. Hottest since 2013, and we have an approaching MJO velocity model that's showing favorable conditions this time frame too, which allows storms to develop maybe a little easier than they normally would. So there's that. Last night's 18Z run. Skirting Florida here. This would be a bad case scenario as we saw with Idalia. The closer this thing skirts the Florida Peninsula, obviously the more effects surge we would have. But there's that. Unfortunately, it'd be almost in the exact same spot that we saw Idalia and Debbie, and I don't know if that's ever happened. Honestly, I don't think historically I don't think a storm has hit the same spot 3 times in 2 years. So that. You almost think that can't happen, but they're definitely watching in the same general area as they did for Idalia and Debbie. And then the last 4 runs we're going to show you, and then here's the so the GFS has definitely got that Eastern Gulf look to it, right? Here's development Monday, Tuesday, and then it gets going. There's that frontal line coming into play. Moisture-wise, you can really see kind of what's going on too. Obviously, all this green is to the east. Gets sucked up into that approaching front. All that moisture spreads off to the east. Sometimes it's sheared. Sometimes dry air comes around. Too early to know how much the dry air will affect anything yet. But there is a front line coming in. And there's always dry air on the backside. But that's very common with tropical systems. So don't know yet how much that might affect it on approach. But there is a front coming in. And this is a moisture map. And again, you can see the effects here along the East Coast. I mean, Friday, 985, and it stays 986 all the way up the East Coast there. So this could still be an issue. It's going to be moving fast. This is Saturday morning. There's our frontal line. It kind of leaves behind. But definitely not just a upper Gulf, East Coast, Florida concern. Or Eastern Gulf concern. It's definitely got that possibility of, becoming a little bit of trouble for the East Coast, if it even develops. Remember, the Euro ain't showing anything right now. So, all right, so there's the last 4 runs of the GFS. Let's go to the last 4 runs of the Canadian. Here it is, the latest Canadian. That's Wednesday morning, 982. And it, deepens it a little bit and brings it up into the upper part of Florida. Again, this wouldn't be bad. I mean, it'd still be a strong Cat 1 possible, but we just got to wait until we get a little more clarity on when it develops and that kind of thing. All we do early on, I'm trying to remind myself, a week out, we're looking at tracks, steering, timing. Intensity will come with time. It's kind of hard to really get into all that this far out. But there's the latest Canadian. Yesterday's 12Z run on the Canadian, basically up Florida again, riding that East Coast, fast mover. This is Friday. So it's happening quick. This could be Wednesday into Thursday right there. Looking at the moisture map, again, we could start seeing the Keys affected as early as Tuesday night. That's why it's important for me to share these models, because you got boats and plans, and you want to know the earliest possibilities to start feeling these feeder bands. This would be Wednesday morning, and then that would be Wednesday night and Thursday morning. So that's fast, but the GFS is kind of catching up to this. So the Canadian's been really consistent, and it's been really good this year with early model detection of systems. All right, so that was the last 2 runs. Here's yesterday's overnight run, and it's pretty much the same. And then 4th run on the Canadian, a little farther to the east, which means more of a Florida peninsula. So again, it all comes down to Sunday, Monday. What happens here determines so much up here. All right, so Euro AI, I kind of showed you the look of that one. This is on tropicaltidbits.com also. Here's development on Tuesday, and it really does a weird turn there. It kind of does this weird thing, and then it ends up getting picked up, and so that was a very odd run. Was that? Yeah, that was our most recent run, so that's really odd. So basically what it's telling you is a week or so, well, 997 is not that weak. This would be, so it's definitely slower mover, drifts off to the west, finally gets picked up and goes. So that's a weird lingering run there. So I didn't have that one because it just got done running. Here's another one showing you a little bit more upper Gulf. This would be for Friday. Yesterday's 12Z run. A little more east. This would be Friday and Saturday, so it's a little slower. There's Friday and Saturday about right here. This is Saturday morning. Oh, so you get that. The Euro AI. So the 3rd run ago was a little more off to the east. So I guess it's a little all over the place. But the last 4 out of 5 runs is upper Gulf, Eastern Gulf, basically. A little slower, about a day behind everybody else as far as when it develops. So that's that one. And it's a possibility. I said it's been good. That is a weird setup there, but I'd be curious on the next run if that goes away. However, the KMA had a little bit of this, and so did the Icon. So, models are going to change. That's the thing, this far out. So we like to look at all the weird scenarios playing out. But when you have a model do this and then the next run do that, I don't know. You might look at that as an outlier right now. Definitely not on history's not on the side on that run. And then the Icon now is showing. The main Euro is not showing anything at all, as it's done all season. It's all over the place, but it has shown a low in the BOC Friday. So hey, maybe it'll be right. That's why a lot of online forecasters, Mets, are cautiously telling people, don't pay attention to the doomsday runs because the Euro's doing this. I get it, but you also, I think, have to look at the fact the Euro hasn't performed at all this season, and you have to believe all possibilities and that maybe the Euro is going to catch up. But we'll see. But anyway, that was the latest. And then yesterday's 12Z run on the Euro was a little more in the upper Gulf. It actually had a little piece here in Florida Friday. So it kind of was trying to develop something Friday, the last run there. There's that frontal line, weak development, kind of pulls it up. And one thing the Euro is good about is it really shows you this Central American gyre, and how we get the winds coming across, the winds coming in the bottom, a little bit of development maybe in the Pacific, something spitting off here on the top side, getting wrapped up in that frontal line. And then there's that little vorticity into Florida Friday morning. So no development on that run either. So again, the Euro, when you see runs bouncing all over the place, I tend to not really go all in on them yet. And then yesterday's 00Z run had a piece kind of going north. So the Euros had three scenarios in the last runs. It had something over here, had something over here, and it had something over here. And they're all about Friday, Thursday, Friday. So this was last night's run, overnight last night. Not last night, the night before last. 3 model cycles ago, the Euro. And then that's it for these little guys. We're going to look at ensembles here in a second. The Icon finally runs out 180 hours. And it a little late to the game, I think, on its thinking. But it is showing a low popping up here, 997. And you can start to see that little turn to the north coming and a turn maybe eventually coming. So I think the Icon will adjust a little bit back to the east a little bit. But it's showing 997 next Wednesday. So that's, good consistency on something in the Gulf to watch next week. That's all we can really do at this point. I want to look at the UK and the KMA. KMA was one of the first to pick up on this. It's kind of trended a little bit back to the Gulf, or the middle Gulf, which is so odd. Latest 6Z doesn't run out that far. Last night 00Z kind of shows upper Gulf. This would be Friday. So it's kind of bounced around a little bit. There's Friday. Yesterday's 12Z was the one that was really west. That one kind of went into Texas. Again, history says that is probably not going to happen. And then 3 runs ago, the KMA was over Florida there. So again, three. So that you look for model consistency, but the fact is they're all showing development Wednesday-ish down this area. This is Wednesday. And then the UK runs out 168 hours, and all this is really showing me is low pressure Yucatan on Tuesday. It only goes out 168 hours. So definitely in the early stages on the UK. So there you go. What does all that mean? Don't cancel any plans. if I was going to take a cruise in the Gulf of Mexico next week, I would not, because there's a lot of uncertainty next week, if at all possible. Next week. Definitely wouldn't be changing any plans anywhere. I'd be just paying attention to the facts that we have very favorable conditions ahead for development of something tropical. So, models tend to change and stuff, but when we're talking about possibly, 7 days from now, we could have something here developed on Wednesday. That's not that far away. So part of me wants to say, it's too far to know. And the other part of me is like, man, 7 days, the modeling is getting pretty consistent on some general idea that we got something in the Gulf right there on Wednesday of next week. So every day it gets clearer. And we just have to know what happens the end of September and early October. So that's it, Beth. Thank you. I was reading comments, but I do read comments, and I know it's hard sometimes. A lot of folks, and it's okay, I get it, but they don't like seeing the possibilities, and I get it. So I think that's why a lot of the Mets tell people to not look at these runs, because it could create anxiety maybe, and I get it. So, but they're not meant to scare, they're meant to, inform. And, a lot of folks need to know ahead of time planning and possibilities. So again, my take on what's happening here is anything that develops in that Yucatan area needs to be watched close for development. And typically that area means Florida. Typically. That's all. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means that's this area usually, when you have a frontal line involved, usually. But we'll see. We will see. SEA. Let's take a look at some ensembles here, and I want to look at. I don't really like looking at shear forecasts, but we do know that there is a front coming into play, which sometimes can help a system develop. Sometimes. Because they provide ventilation, it pulls out, an exit, it allows moisture. So these fronts get part of the process more than we think. Let me see if I can get, I don't know the map I'm looking for. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just US, maybe just trying to zoom in on what I want to look at. We'll just look at this one. Well, I guess we can look at shear here, Caribbean. All right, so let's look at the shear anomalies basically for next Sunday, Monday. We'll go to Monday, Tuesday. So, about normal. This is shear anomalies. This is Wednesday. There is some showing, some shear. This is Wednesday, Thursday. Not perfect environment. Actually, it's easier to see on Levi's site. Upper level 200 millibar. Let's see, next Wednesday, 25th. Okay, so you kind of get a better picture here. where our system could be. This is next Wednesday. Very light wind shear on this map. There's your frontal line coming to play. Let's see, the Euro for that same time frame around Wednesday. Kind of showing, you know, an upper level high pressure building up overhead, which typically allows development a little easier. There's shear to the north, you know. It's definitely got that sheared look on approach, which would push the moisture a little bit more off to the southeast, east coast as it exited out of here. But there's a European shear map. Kind of hard to look that far ahead. Precipitation kind of shows that frontal line coming into play here next Thursday. So even though the Euro doesn't develop anything next Thursday, Wednesday, there's that front line that's going to be lifting probably whatever is developing. There's the GFS obviously developing our system and getting pulled up towards that front line with the rains, heavy rains. I don't have to remind anybody. Rains are not what you want to see in any part of the southeast right now. We've had so much rain, saturation levels are through the roof, and any rain would be the big story. I mean, some of the isolated rain totals starting to show now, let's say for the GFS, just for example, wherever this thing decides to go, 9, 12, you know, that run. 6Z yesterday, loading here, but it's the same. So these tropical systems definitely bring a lot of rain. You know, you don't know who's going to get the rain training, but there's already, you know, 14 inches max predicted somewhere, all depending on that final track. Rain's always the story that doesn't make the news, but you know, there's some of the rain depending on where it goes. And then we could extend this out to the East Coast if this thing does go exits through the state and brings, unfortunately, more rain to the East Coast side, depending on wherever the heck it goes. So this would be the latest track showing heavy rain up through the mountains through the weekend. So we could have a lot of problems here across mountain areas. Last night 00Z shows a little more of a southern exit, basically missing because it goes out more towards the Atlantic. Obviously the east side, the heavy side. So last night's 18Z run, you know, it'd be moving fast, but like this would be not good for the folks that just experience all that rain from PTC 8. A little more of an exit along the East Coast through the weekend could be a lot of rain. So, you know, definitely all depends on that exit, what we can see, you know, and that definitely could bring storms. You know, you get a fast-moving tropical system exiting along the East Coast there. Some of these pressures are still pretty low. Low pressures mean storms, basically, and winds. We have, you know, it's 980 pressured system exiting the East Coast. We could still see some pretty big storms along the eastern seaboard. There's 999. This would be Friday. You know, so that, you know, that brings in storms, squally weather. It's fast moving with that front, but definitely could bring some nasty weather toward the end of the week and parts of the weekend. Could be out of here by the weekend, actually. Could be gone by Saturday morning. This is Saturday morning. So the speed has definitely picked up. Here's Saturday morning here. So this thing is definitely picking up the pace. There's Thursday morning, Saturday morning. So it's going to race out of here. There's a front. They pick up. They get absorbed, and they haul booty to the north. That's the trends, my friends. European. Let's look at all the ensembles now. Take a look at that. let's go back to the islands. Let's go. That's a Jimmy Buffett song. Let's go back to the islands. All right, so the latest European ensembles. Couple hurricanes. Few hurricanes. Notice anything that if something were to form, most of them are upper Gulf and turning that tug and turn. So that's the big if on the Euro. Now the Euro is not showing development, so you're not seeing this scenario. But the ensembles are saying if something were to develop, more than likely it's going to lift and turn with that cold front. So still the same thinking on the Euro. Percentages on the Euro, even though the main operational run isn't showing you anything. I like this map, Tropical Storm. I like the Tropical Storm version of it because it kind of shows a little more stronger system development. This would be for Thursday. Anywhere in this purple area, it looks like look at this, man. It looks like what is that thing? Somebody, yarr, dinosaur. Purple's Tropical Storm percentages. 25% to 30%, somewhere in this area right here. So even though the main operational run is not showing any development, we're still seeing the European ensemble blend showing you possible tropical storm development in the purple. I like tropical storm development better than tropical depression because tropical depression seems like it always shows. But when you go to storm, and it even has a little bit of hurricane color, not a lot, but it does. So the likelihood of a hurricane on the Euro is low chances, but that's the general thinking of where it would be toward the end of next week. GFS ensembles are showing you this. Let's take a look at that. Look at this. And here are the latest. You're like, what the heck's that? Well, there's a lot of lines. But again, a lot is showing here for me. Is the majority of the GFS ensembles are saying a turn eventually coming towards the east. So we got a couple outliers, yes. So, we never turn your back on the outliers ever. It's just the later the season goes, the less likelihood of at least Western Gulf. But definitely not impossible for Upper Gulf, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. If something were to form down here, it eventually might turn, but that means it's a little more towards you. So, but higher chances, obviously, here of something trying to get going. What is that you're saying? Well, it's a lot of circles. And here's shear again. But I just don't like long range shear forecasts. It just seems like they're really all over the place. Hard to look at. All right, so there's that. Another cool graphic here is the Euro GFS probability map. 36% chance between the couple models here. We're going to see development in the Yucatan. So usually the NAC goes with that. I'm surprised they didn't bump it up to 30 or 40%. But we'll have a new one at 2 p.m. This is all leftover Gordon. If that came back, it'd be Gordon, by the way. A lot of people ask me that. Because it's still remnants. Remnants get renamed. They keep the name. So Gordon would return. Breaking news. So look at that. Sarah got some homework yesterday. I didn't know this. Hello, my name. She wants to be a scientist. Look. I love to study about different species. My research led to the first microwave. But she got an amazing sticker. Good job, Sarah. If you're watching. They watch me at their school. So that's all, man. So, all right. So where are we at? We just know something's down there. We know something's probably going to form. We know the Gulf's in play. We know to watch it close Sunday, Monday. Timing could start as early for South Florida Tuesday night, Wednesday. It could be sitting off the coast Wednesday. We could be dealing with something along the upper Gulf Coast towards the end of the week, end of the weekend. But more than likely, it's going to race out of here with that frontal line. So, we're talking next week. So this, all eyes are focused on this for sure. And nobody can predict at this point anything exact other than, we should do different alert levels for this time of year. So like the Gulf alert level is do not put up your 12-foot skeleton. How about that? We're in a holding pattern on 12-foot skeleton until maybe the following weekend. I strategically am putting out Halloween decorations that won't fall over. Put it to you that way. So that's it. We go over the latest. Nothing's any clearer than it was last night. We got models bouncing around. We still have a lot of East Coast golf vibes, in my opinion. So, and history, and that's where we're at. So the Euro is doing what the Euro's done all year, and it's not doing good on past storms. We'll see if it does good on this storm. Wind shear's down thanks to La Nina. Very low vertical wind shear, below the normal. This is where we're at. This is because of La Nina. Oh, and the water temperatures are extremely hot. This is your anomaly map. This is where we're at. Tropical tidbits showing you that. It is cooler in the Western Gulf, but very warm in the Eastern Gulf Caribbean. This is degrees above normal for a 30-year average. We have our ocean heat content through the roof. Hottest it's been since 2013. This is basically the amount of fuel underneath the surface. And we are here, which is at this point in the timeline of September 17th is the highest it's ever been since 13. The Gulf is here, not there, here. And it's the hottest it's been since 13 ever. This is the ocean heat content, September 17th. These are on Brian McNulty's site. So that's always a concern, is the water temps. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but water temp's the big piece of the puzzle. And we got this approaching MJO vertical shear marker here showing timestamp of September 27th. Right here, green. Green usually means favorable upper level wind conditions. So that's a factor that is coming into play that could allow storms to develop a little easier. This is the empirical wave showing you we're in a sinking air pattern now. We are in a raising air pattern come September 27th next week. So kind of fits the timing of something trying to pop here in the Caribbean. And that remains all the way through October. But these change a lot. But still, caution people, man. The peak of season was just 8 days ago. Season's not over by any means. Historically, some of our worst storms are late September, October, coming out of the Caribbean. So that's why I got my eye on this one extra close. But there's nothing there yet. So maybe it won't be anything. All right. There you go. We'll do a little short video later. We'll probably be live later tonight, I'm sure. Katie, you didn't know this was recorded. Where have you been? I always put it on the webpage right here. You can watch it on the webpage. I got it on my app. I do have an app. My Solar Page app. A lot of good information there. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on X. You can watch it on the app. You can watch it on the website. We get a lot of people watch this thing. Chris, my gut. Well, it's still, to me, Eastern Gulf, Florida, based on history. Panhandle or Peninsula is tough for me right now. It'd be a wild guess, I think, honestly. I can't see Mother Nature going to the Big Bend 3 storms in a row, honestly. So I would almost think we'd have to use that unscientific common sense. I think we just got to look at a lot of things as far as where the low shape takes place Sunday and Monday. The UK is right off the Yucatan. How strong this frontal line is, it picks something up. There's a front coming in play. Fronts this year have been strong. So I think we kind of got to look back at what's been happening this season. We have had strong fronts coming down that lift systems up. NOAA's putting our low here on Wednesday, which would probably guarantee not much west movement from here. It all depends on where this low sets up. We know, the turn probably is coming. And we know that Ian turned, Charlie turned, Irma turned, but they all were kind of in this general area here. So I think if I had to guess on, would be Peninsula at this point. Just kind of looking at, kind of fascinated with the latest UK, honestly. It seems like it's kind of done a good job over the years lately with sniffing out these late season systems. So I'll be really curious in the 12Z UK on where it puts this low pressure area. Because we know the front's coming. We know that it's putting a low here. We know the front's coming. Upper level winds. I assume, yeah. So there you go. I mean, there's your lift right there. This is Tuesday. There's your front coming down. So there's your weakness. There's really nothing that I could see making this go much more west when you have this weakness coming down for Tuesday. So, anything that gets going down here likely will bend. The truth of the matter is, here to here is very little, very little difference in angle. It's just, something here is so vital to ultimate destination. But it's an important map for me because it's showing you that cold front coming down right here. Strong. So to me, I can't see this thing being in the Western Gulf based on all these models showing a big dip in the jet right now. Look at Sarah just sent me a nice little text. I always keep, all you new followers, I share a lot of weird things, but I shared Sarah a lot. So she texted me at 6:40 this morning. Okay. Some hearts, see? So I text her back morning with lips, and then she just wrote me back that. That's how we talk. Sometimes we just talk in gibberish, but she's gotten good about emojis now. So there's something special when your daughter sends you a heart. At least it means she's thinking of me. So we'll do 9 o'clock tonight. That's fine. Cool, Shelly. Yeah, we'll do 9 p.m. tonight. We'll do our Dirty 30 at 9 Eastern. We'll go over all the latest data tonight. But there's a front coming down. The GFS, I'm sure, is showing the same thing. There it is, lifting our system up. See that? System forms Tuesday. Lists. Doesn't give it a lot of time in the Gulf. I mean, that's the only other good thing is it doesn't have a lot of time to intensify. So the good news is we would see a system that probably wouldn't have a lot of time like Michael did. But it all depends what it does here Sunday, Monday. But this is why the front's so important, because it's picking it up and turning it. But again, I cautious any steering or intensity maps at this point. So even the latest, KMA showing a little farther west, but then that lift up and turn there. So that to me is very, very likely. Whatever. So Selfishly for me, Talladega looks good. we leave on Tuesday the following week, and this thing's going to be out of here. So definitely looking like next week something brewing. It's just, again, it all depends what it can do Sunday, Monday down there by the Yucatan. How fast it can organize. And there are quite a few members of the GFS showing a pretty strong system. Let's take a look here at some of these more specific runs here of the pressures. It's just so hard to understand this one, I know, but purple would be 960, 970 millibar. And there are, 961, 62, 75, 54, 77, 90, 92, 82, 56. The ones that are stronger are a little to the south. That means it festers a little bit longer down here. It gives it time to develop quicker before it takes off to the north. This would be next Thursday. But, some of them are pretty strong. Some are weak. But hey, we saw what Barrel could do, even with a Cat 1. We saw what PTC 8 did. This one doesn't look like it's going to linger very long, though. All right, we got a lot of models to look over tonight, so things might change. They often do, but that's where we're at now. So no worries. That's a big zoomed-in picture of Natural Hurricane Center. That's what we got, 20%. So that was an hour of we don't know. Anyway, all right. So appreciate you watching, everybody. I share my passion with you all. I do it because I love it, and it hopefully helps you out. And everybody that tends to gravitate to our page likes this also. So thank you for watching, and appreciate it. We'll be on live tonight at 9 Eastern. And we appreciate that. So we'll see you then. All right. Have a great